Ok, bienvenidas, bienvenidos a este espacio. Esta es una entrevista que vamos a hacer con un gran astrólogo, un astrólogo que le tengo mucho respeto, que es Gary P. Caton. Él es, bueno, autor de un libro que ahorita van a ver. La entrevista va a ser en inglés, porque esa es su lengua. Entonces, posteriormente lo vamos a subtitular en español. Si estás por acá y hablas inglés, pues por favor haz todas las preguntas, comparte, comenta. Aquí vamos a estar pendiente de tus comentarios. So, vamos a empezar. Hi, Gary, like officially welcome here.
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming and for accepting this invitation. Like, man,
We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yes,
Years, I think.
more than a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see. I usually organize like a conference with many astrologers.
That's right. Yes, now I remember. Yes.
Last year it didn't happen, so I didn't want it to push it longer. So I said, like, just come on and let's do
Do
an
what we
interview.
can. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. I like it. Yeah.
I had your book with me, but I was in some other place in my house and I left it there.
I can show. Yeah. Hang on. For those who may not know,
Yeah, that's the book.
This is my baby.
Yeah.
The first of triplets, hopefully.
Please.
Yes.
And we hope to see it in Spanish sometime soon, maybe.
Yes, from your mouth to the God's ears. Yes. Earlier this year, the publication Revista Stellium, they published one chapter from the book.
Oh, that's great. I didn't come across
that.
That.
Yes, they do. I think I'm not sure how many issues a year, but it's a Spanish astrology magazine, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so already one chapter has been done, and I would absolutely love for it to be completely. I think that it would be.
We need that. We need in the Spanish community like more literature in Spanish in our.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I have a student. Well, she's no longer really a student. It's only to say she is my student is kind of like an honorary title. Yeah. She has gone and done many things of her own, and so she's as much of a colleague now as a student. But she was once my student, and she is very well known in the Spanish-speaking community. Her name is Paloma Todd Montes, and she's from Puerto Rico, so she's bilingual, and so she studied with me, and then there's another young woman from Spain who studied with her, Olga Hueso, and Hueso means bone, right? So I call her the bone lady.
That's great.
But Paloma said to me, we need to get the Mercury codes because the Spanish-speaking community is aware of the Venus cycle, and there's she and Olga and you, and many people are working on the Venus codes. But she says now we need the Mercury codes. So
that's right. That's exactly it. And I've been diving in these Mercury codes thanks to you and your book. And I usually get into your Hermetic Astrology podcast too. And I've taken some classes with you also about the Mars and Venus cycle. Like one thing is the Venus cycle in itself, and then we have the Venus-Mars cycle, and that's just like mind-blowing. And
my goodness.
I've tried to share it with my community, and I always mention you, of course. But then we need like the direct source, like this is for me. I got the book. I got someone to bring it to me. Like a study book. I have it all marked out, and
I love it. I haven't
finished. I mean, like I have scriptures everywhere, and it's like an observation book because Gary here is not just describing the cycle, he's also giving many insights about the alchemy applications, the magic applications, and something I found very useful is the description of the cycles through the ages. You know, like when you
Oh
are
yes,
a certain age,
yes,
what cycle are you in? And I
yes.
had my personal seventh return, elementally return, like last year. I was 45, and this was amazing, like a great guide for me. So
Yes, you know, that's interesting. That chapter, I think, the last one, um, where I say, okay, so let me explain briefly, yeah?
mhm,
Um, so first thing I do is I say, look, maybe we need another way to look at Mercury retrograde, yeah? And in fact, in the astronomy of Mercury, there is another way. It's right there. Once you understand the astronomy, it speaks to you. There's three alignments: one, two, three, and they're very different. The first one is Mercury in the evening sky at the maximum elongation, which means the highest and brightest, but in the evening, right? In the west, in the evening star. And then the second one is the inferior conjunction that happens in the middle of the retrograde. Inferior meaning below, right? In Latin, inferius means below. Mercury is passing between the sun and the earth rather than the reverse. And then there's another alignment in the morning sky where Mercury is high and bright. And so these are very different in terms of the appearance, but they happen in the same degrees, in the same sign. And so there's a three-part story happening. And this is I when I remember just yesterday I was remembering the process of discovering that. It's always been there, you see. It's always been there forever. But nobody noticed. And it's only because I guess maybe because I'm Virgo or something. Virgo moon. Yeah. I found it because one day I said to myself, you know, in the Emerald Tablet it says as above so below, but it says it a bit more than that. It says that which is above corresponds to that which is below, and that which is below corresponds to that which is above. So I was thinking, above, below, above, is this in the heavens? Yeah. Or is this only a mystical document, or is it also practical? It turns out it is both. So from that, so that's the first cycle, right? We have a new way to look at the Mercury retrograde with three parts. And we can use the alchemy to understand that. The basic process of alchemy is the blackening, nigredo, the whitening, albedo, the reddening, rubedo. So the black means that something is finished. Something is going to decay now, like at the end of the year when the leaves fall and they decay, right? Something is finished. And when we let go and allow that process, then we accept the darkness, then we can see a new light, the albedo, right? And then when we see the new light, we like when I find this alignment. Oh my God, how is this possible? It's incredible, right? And then I do the work to write and make the book, the Rubido, you see. But first I had to say, you see, the first I had to say, the way we're doing this is no good. It's black. It needs to be broken down like compost. Let's put this, let's find another way, right? You have to be dissatisfied with the current situation in order to grow, right?
that's true.
So so that's the first cycle. And then so this happens three times in each year, and this year it's in the earth signs.
It is. And I'm going to ask you a lot about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so, but briefly, just to cover, to finish, and then we'll come back. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Um,
wonderful.
so it happens for 3 times in the Earth signs this year, and then over 7 years, it moves back through all of the elements. So it goes, and this is the second part from the Emerald Tablet. In the Emerald Tablet, it says its father is the sun. So this is fire, right? The symbol for fire is like this. Its mother is the moon, water, yeah. Um, the wind carries it in its belly, so there's again air, but it has like a line, yeah. And then its nurse is the earth, so again like this, but with the line. So fire, water, air, earth. This is the order in which the Mercury retrogrades activate the elements, and it is the reverse order from the zodiac. How
And
perfect.
like
Oh my God. And
it is.
what's crazy about this? The first insight that I had, above, below, above are indeed one, right? I call my alchemy mentor and I say, oh my God, I have found the gold. Eureka, I found. And while I am telling him this, the one piece of gold that I found turns into two, because while I'm telling him this, also this process with the, and I say, not only does it happen every time, but it goes through the elements just the way in the tablet. Yeah,
Yeah,
boom.
it's
So
perfect.
we have already, I have said 3 cycles. We have the 40 days for the individual retrograde, where you have the 3 alignments, the same degrees, same sign. Then you have each year, which this is what I call the Mercury elemental year, right? Because this year, Mercury will spend more time in only 3 signs of Earth than all the other signs combined. That is quite remarkable. And so these houses in your chart are going to be very important,
Mhm.
right? Have you felt that in your life with the recent
Absolutely.
Taurus? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been following this cycle like for a while now. I came across your work like in 2018, and I've been, like then in 2020 I got the actual book. And I
Excellent.
was just like watching the interviews and reading some articles and maybe that, but then I got the book in 2020, so I've been able
Excellent.
to observe it more closely. And
Awesome.
one thing I think is like another goal thing about this sharing you're doing with this knowledge is changing the perspective of the Mercury retrograde. Like in the popular culture is some fear about Mercury retrograde. Yeah, it's like like we don't want to have nothing to do with it, and then we see like the enemy, no, it's
We
chaos.
go.
And yeah, yeah, that's right. And that's such a misinterpretation, like
Yeah.
from our crazy way of living, wanting to go forward all the time.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes. And yes. So we have only 2 extremes, right?
mhm,
Always go, go, and then hide. Yeah.
right.
What is that?
Yeah. And this is a like more nature like or integral way of seeing it and of perceive it and to live it, like
Yes.
my main purpose with this interview and the one I'm going to do tomorrow with Eric Roth is like to help people fall in love with the planetary cycles,
Ah,
like
yes.
it,
Beautiful.
most
Beautiful.
people
Right.
are used to watch astrology with from the frantic point of view of the transits, like trying to make sense of the eternal wheel changing with the transits, and that's just chaotic. I mean, we're always on fear of something else going on, something else happening, or affecting us in some way. But when you find the cycles, that's how it's been for me. uh,
Yes.
like it all makes sense and comes together into a serene way of living the astrology, not this
Oh,
fearful way.
yes. 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 Yes.
That's
It's
great.
it's true because, if once you understand, okay, like it's one thing, for instance, to say, okay, this particular retrograde, I'm going to say something, help you get through this
Mhm.
one. Yeah. But then there's another one. There
Yeah,
are
and
three
another
every
one.
year, and another one. And so, but once you understand there is a pattern, then okay, for this year, these three houses will be activated, right? And so I know, and these three houses have something, they are connected. They have a theme together. For me, the recent Taurus retrograde was in house 4, which is
Mhm.
home and family. And then, of course, the next one will be in the 8th, which is also shared resources for family and business. And then 12, which is like, for me, it's like spiritual family.
Mhm.
So there are like three kinds of family. You see, the biological, the marriage and business family, and the spiritual family. And so already with the Taurus one, oh my goodness, I have my father is elderly, and
Mhm.
so it just happened that he has been independent for a long time, but no more. Now we have to find him a place to be, and oh my goodness, that's been
And it was simultaneous with the eclipses, no? Also, so
yes, that's
more
right, that's
intense.
right, yes, yes. So, but that wasn't entirely unexpected, but I'm not going, but at the same time, so now I kind of have an idea, okay, when the 8th house comes around, it's going to be probably a continuation of this story from the 4th. To some degree, there will be similarities. And then also with the 12th. So, so I think, yes, there is a kind of peace with that because it's not disconnected. There is things that I've learned that I can carry with me to the next part, and so on. Right? It has, yes,
And will you say like this started in January with the Capricorn retrograde?
yes, that's right. Yes, yes, indeed. So that was, yeah, and yeah, and so there's four of them in Earth, right? There
Yeah,
was the
but
Capricorn, and so the Capricorn is the only one that will repeat.
yeah, but it's with Sagittarius. I was willing, wanting to ask you that because
Yes.
that transition is always like mysterious, no? From earth to fire, and I would love for us to go in there at the end of when we talk to the end of
Okay.
the year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's been the work triangle, like you mentioned. I don't know
Two,
if you,
6, 10.
yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I've been
Uh-huh.
noticing, like I've been changing so much the way we work within
Today
my
we had to change like
yeah
this, we were going to do the Instagram, and so you have to be willing to
yeah
yes, exactly. You have to understand that change is on the menu. And
it,
and if you stubbornly resist, you will suffer. But if
that's
you
when
you
people
go,
get afraid of Mercury retrograde because we resist change. We don't want change.
oh, no, no, yeah, no,
Yeah, we hide from change. That's correct. And
yeah. So, oh, sorry,
mhm.
go ahead.
No, that's okay. You go ahead. Keep your sharing.
Yeah, so we have like four cycles, right? So there's the individual retrograde, and then there's three in a year, and then over 7 years we go through all four elements. So there's three cycles. And then when when you follow these 7-year returns to the element, when in the year I was born, all three retrogrades happened in the air element. And then every 7 years, really, you too. Oh, that's great. So you're a natural communicator, right? So all of this social media, no wonder you're so good at it. Yeah. Um, and every 7 years, when that repeats, It's like in alchemy, we we have a process where we heat the liquid and it rises, and then it comes back down, and then it rises again and it comes back down, and each time becoming more pure, more distilled, right? And so it's like that, like this process that we were born into. For you, it's the for you and me, it's the communications. Each time we get a little more pure about, okay, what is my message? Why am I am here to communicate, obviously, but what is my message, and how is that? And so it's like a an evolutionary journey
It is.
through life. And and that chapter, which was the final one, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the structure that I just told you, but the writing is like you have to put it. And when I found the right structure to put this, it came out of me like all at once. It was the most inspired writing I've ever done. And what I have found is that many people like you, that is the one they go, oh my goodness, like wow.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's the one I was telling you before, no, about the ages, the cycles, the
Yes,
returns, the
the
elementary
returns.
returns. Yeah,
Yes, yes, because um, that's something that we hunger for, I think, in modern times, because we don't have the rites of passage,
exactly,
you
exactly.
see, and so we don't have the natural divisions to say, okay, you were here, boom, and now we have a ceremony, now you are here. We don't have so much. And so this is maybe something that helps to see that, and then it fulfills this need that we have for sort of
Direction.
ceremonial, yes,
Yeah,
for direct, yes,
guide, and I mean, like feeling like you're not just dropped out here on this planet on your own, and like you're immersed in something that makes sense, like that's guiding
exactly,
you all the time.
yes, 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 yes.
That's great.
I love that you get it. This is wonderful.
Thank you, because you've helped me get there. You know, with this
Yeah,
sharing,
you're welcome. And
being,
thank you, Mercury, and thank
yeah,
you, God.
Hermes.
Yes.
You're the Hermes messenger.
It's, you know, probably what more wonderful thing could I ask,
Hmm.
you know? I mean, my goodness, what a great job that I have. And you know, I wake up every morning and I love my work, and I love hearing from people like you who it can help. It's the most beautiful thing. I cannot imagine anything more beautiful, yeah? Uh, other than being with the sky, that's
Of course.
number 1, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I truly enjoy from you also, the photography, the sharing of your photo work, photography
Mm,
work, I don't know. Because Gary is a guy that connects, like you feel the connection with the living sky, and he shares it with such beauty in these photographs, and that's amazing. Thank you.
yes, you're welcome.
Hmm.
Yes, I feel that, it's like in alchemy, we have 3 parts to anything, right? We have the spirit, which is sort of the intellectual understanding of something. In astrology, we have mucho, like, for that, we have no
Yeah,
problem,
we
right?
were too much in our heads,
Maybe too much, yeah. And then we also have the salt, which is like the physical body. So, you know, like we have plenty for that, like people who understand like very simple, like the zodiac signs and maybe the yoga and this and that. But the other piece is the soul.
yeah.
The soul is like the fire in the belly that makes you want to say hallelujah, you know. And to me, this comes from the sky. The sky is originally the place where we look in awesome wonder. My God, what is going on up there? And you know, we decide to we decide, okay, we are going to take these people and we're going to build a temple, which is a human made mountain, and we're going to put these people in that temple, and that's all they do. They go up the temple, they watch the sky, they write it down, and that is their life, right? And then, so when you do the math, approximately 30 generations, for 30 generations, so me and my son and my grandson and so on and so on and so on and so on, granddaughters, there were women also temples very early. The priestess of Inanna, she has right, she has a wonderful poem, if you've not heard it, the exaltation of Inanna, right? Google that one.
I
Oh
will.
my
I will.
God. Yeah. This is the priestess of Inanna saying how, just pouring her heart out to this goddess. Yeah. And so for 30 generations, we figure out, oh my God, this is the cycle, right? And it's only after that that then we can have the ephemeris, and so we can make the charts like we make today and for the last 2,000 years, which the Greeks really were the ones that did that for the
Yeah,
horoscope, right? The wheel. But before that, it took like 30 generations every day going to the sky and writing down, and so I feel like that is the soul
it is.
of who we are. And so when we go and we do the same, we are like time travelers almost, or going back to the beginning, and we plug in. It's like we plug into that sacred devotion, and you can feel it. I feel it for sure. Like I was telling,
You do. Yeah, you feel it. I mean, I have the experience only not only with myself, like I know what you mean, but with my students, like motivating in them the need to go and connect with the sky to fulfill this nostalgic from the stars. Like we in the modern cities I have our skies like full
that's
of clouds,
wonderful. I'm so happy. Thank you, and congratulations. Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
inspiring it.
Yeah, and I have seen many times like miracles happen, you
they,
know?
yeah, they do happen, and I have like the report from my students, and I wanted to ask you that, like, how would you say the life of people change when we switch
Oh, yes.
this perspective of astrology,
Yes, yes. It will change your life for sure because um I mean I could share specific stories, but you know, um many times things just happen that where some area of life was sort of stagnant. It was not moving. It's sort of like if you know a little bit about yoga or something, or the idea of the chakras, right? When the chakras are open, then the energy flows,
hmm
right? And the life is healthy. This part of life represented by this chakra will be smooth. Everything is operating. But when it gets blocked or closed, right? It's like a
stagnant.
door. Then that part of the life gets stagnant. There's nothing moving. It's not growing. And what I have found is that when you do these observations, it's sort of that energy is so powerful. It will boom, it will open these blocks, right? And the next thing you know, some part of the person's life that has been stagnant and not moving, now it is moving again.
Flowing,
It's
yeah.
like a miracle, because um, surely there are other ways to do the same thing, but to me, it's like when I think of it, I think like it's like going back to the beginning of civilization, really, because
Yes,
this act of understanding the stars was fundamental to the foundation of civilization as we know it. And so, and here's the thing about that. Now think about this for a second. Some people say, well, maybe civilization is not so great after all. We have many problems. it's true. We have many problems. I still think it's pretty great also.
Me too.
um,
Yeah.
but maybe if we go back to the beginning, we are also helping to bring that original energy forward to now. And then this new beginning is possible where the problems that have accumulated can be more easily addressed. Am I making sense? Does that?
You are, of course, you are making sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like we can begin again, but from the place we are now. And so things that, again, maybe the culture or the civilization is no different. It has chakras also, and sometimes
It's
they
so,
get blocked. And so we can do the same thing where we get this original energy to purge the system, revivify it.
I read somewhere, I don't recall right now where, that the letter H, like the H sound, the inspired sound, it's present in every God word, from all over the planet, and that comes from looking at the sky and be wonder and going like, and that aspiration like that inspires the God's names. So that's beautiful,
Ah,
and that's
that's
powerful.
wonderful. I
Yeah.
love it. I think, that's yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
That even Einstein, he said this experience of awesome wonder, this is what drove his work. So whether you are a scientist, and this man was very much in his head, but you see, he also had this soul to to fuel that, right? Um, so yeah, it's so wonderful, and even what's really incredible, even I have found, even if you are near a city and there is some light pollution, the planets are even brighter than the
Yeah.
stars. So, even if there's not so many stars, most of the time, especially Venus, you can,
Venus
and
is
especially
amazing.
now because Venus
Now
is
it's so
incredibly bright.
huge. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, there are still things you can see. And, if you're only beginning, follow the moon. The moon is easy
Yeah,
to see.
it's always
And it,
easy to see. And sometimes I live in a city and I don't have like the privilege of this countryside, beautiful sky view. But still, like since I'm looking all the time, I've noticed like how sometimes for whatever reason, if you need to connect, the stars will show. Like the other night, I never get to see these full constellations, and I got to see like every other constellation from the same place with the same light conditions. So
aha.
they will show
Yes,
to you.
yes. Sometimes the weather just, it
Yeah,
just
changes.
cooperates. I have had many experiences like this where, where I live is in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and in at the southern end, we call them the Smoky Mountains because always mist and fog.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I'm traveling and there's no sky, only mist and fog, and I say to myself, "Oh my God, maybe I should just go home. This is crazy. What am I doing?" And then one star, when there's just a tiny, and one star says, "No, no, follow me." And when I go, then boom, the whole
There's
thing
a,
opens up.
yeah,
And it's so,
that's amazing.
yeah, they speak to you, right?
It's
That's what astro, star, logi, right? Star speech,
yeah.
the speech of the stars to communicate, to hear them
Oh,
speak.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I've never thought it that way, but that's so beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
And I had a student the other day telling me, like, I was suggesting, like go out and talk to Venus. Like, she's so present right now. She's so beautiful, so bright. And then she wrote to me, like, I was watching Venus as you told us. And then I had like a psychedelic experience without any substances. Like, she was seeing everything fractal, and I don't know, she had like this very special connection there. And I was like, wow, this is so powerful.
Yes, because you see, we are. for lack of better term, this is somewhat cruel, but also true. Not cruel, crude. We are apes, yes,
Mm. Would you?
and we have um, evolved with nature to be like sensing of nature, right? And nature is all of fractals, fractal nature, like.
Uh-huh.
So when we tune into that part of us that is also tuned to nature, we will naturally see the fractals. We will naturally see the patterns. Like the other night, I'm sitting on my back deck and the fireflies, some places the fireflies actually synchronize where they go
Mhm.
together. This was not that, but it was like over here, but it was like do 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 do, and it's like a light show, like when you go to a rave, or
Yeah.
you know how the lights like do, 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 and it feels like it's moving because they're sort of, you know, and so it's like the same thing, right? You sense the patterns because that's what we evolved to do. We evolved to be pattern sensing machines, not
Mhm.
machines, but
Systems.
organisms.
Yeah, organized.
And so, yeah, I think she basically, what I would say, she encountered her primal nature, right? Her,
Mhm.
her her true animal self that is capable of that.
And
We
she got a
forget.
message out of it. I mean, she told me like she was worrying about something, and then she got the answer. She connected with the answer, and that's
Yeah,
that's what
beautiful.
this is about.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Praise be. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Gary, and tell us a little bit about the that we said before about the next well, the next retrograde is going to be in Virgo, like Earth. But then
Yeah.
the final retrograde of this year is going to be like from Capricorn to Sag, and
Yeah.
we're going to be transitioning to a fire elemental year. And how do you perceive that transition? What key concept can we hold in mind to experience that?
This one is very powerful. To me, this is the beginning of the 7-year cycle.
Yeah, fire. Mhm.
Yes, fire is the beginning. And fire, so any child, when you will know, when you throw a rock in the water, what does it do? It
It
sinks.
ripples. Yeah.
Well, the
Oh,
ripple, but
yeah.
it sinks, right? So earth is heavier than water,
Mhm.
right? And when the grass is wet and the sun shines, what happens? The dew, it evaporates, right?
Great.
So
Yeah.
so air is less dense than water, right? And then fire, when you build the fire, the smoke rises higher than the air. So fire is the least dense of the elements, and earth is the most dense. So when you have this collision between dense, in alchemy we call this the fixed and the volatile. This is like tremendous potential energy being released, right?
Mm.
And one of the examples that I give was also tied into the eclipse, like you mentioned before. This makes it a bit more powerful. But the very first conjunction in fire happened at 29 Sagittarius, which is at the winter solstice, right? And also there was an eclipse there. And this is when you had a man, his name Mohammed Bouazizi, in
Mm. He turned
uh,
himself into fire, right? Like he
yes, he practiced self-immolation.
yeah, I
And
remember that.
which country was that? I'm trying to
It's
remember.
like
The Arab.
Egypt, Egypt or something. Yeah, it's in Africa. I don't remember
It
the
went
country.
it went also to Egypt eventually, but forgive me, I'm forgive. But if you look for his name, you will read the
Yeah.
whole story. But so one man, and this guy was nobody special. Of course, he was the child of God, so he was very special. But in terms of like the social hierarchy,
The
he's a
political.
he's a street vendor. Who is the street vendor the child of in our system?
Mm.
Mercury.
Mercury. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the child of Mercury, and he says they they constantly harass the police or somebody, you know, hey, you don't have license, you know, you can't do this. There is no license to have, right? So it's all about bribery and corruption and all this. So he goes to the governor or whatever the name for the person in charge in that place, Tunisia, right? It's Tunisia.
Tanisha. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that is correct.
And and he says, I can only imagine what he says, but he says something like, hey, you know, this is wrong, it's not good. And the governor, again, I can only imagine, says, yeah, you know, whatever. There's no solution, obviously, because the next thing, this guy, there's only one person, relatively unimportant in terms of, like, you know, the newspapers or whatever. Nobody knows his name until he sets himself on fire. And the next thing you know, an entire region of the planet is on fire with a spiritual fire, saying, no, we are pissed, and many changes come about because of this, you know. So
Yeah, we're talking about like 2015, right? Like
yes,
when
the
the
Arab Spring,
Arab
yeah,
Spring
yeah.
came to be, and Uranus was in Aries too. So this was like a fire year with the Uranus.
Also the
Fire.
outer planet,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that one is powerful because of the elements are so um, different. Well, if you think about it, Earth is the fuel for the fire, so it's
yeah,
like, you know,
full fluid,
right?
full fuel. Yeah,
Yeah, fuel. Um, so there's a lot of potential energy. Like right now with the Earth year, it's more slow. It's Earth
mm,
is very dense, right? Like we said, so it's about like careful, methodical, right? But if you do it right, you can use this year with the Earth alignments to build like something like solid, and then
structure.
with the fire, you can use that to jump from, you know, to make a leap.
That is
To
so key. Please keep that in mind what he's saying, because that's like the point of the situation. Like, and Mercury is also a seeder. You know, like we usually use the moon to seed intentions and the new moons and
yeah,
everything. But
yeah.
Mercury, I see him like the seeds of the mind. You know, like
Oh
you
yeah.
planting seeds with every retrograde, and that's something people misses out, for being anxious about the retrograde, and they don't see the potential of the seed we're planting with every retrograde. And the
Yeah.
earth seeds, like they will maybe take longer to develop, but they will develop stronger also.
Yes, 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 yes.
I love when you do that. So
Yes,
encouraging.
and you know, before even I wrote this book, I was telling people the same thing. If we seed at the new moon, why not with the Mercury conjunction the sun, right? So the inferior conjunction.
And it's the mind seeds, like the seeds of the mind,
And
everything that.
this, yeah, and this again, if you think about it, right? Like like, you know, the seed of the soil is the one that is the most dense, but with many things that we create, the seed is the idea.
Yeah,
The idea is not physical, right? It begins here. So many times when I have, so like they say, make intention, right? You plant your intentions, right? These are the seeds of the mind. And many times I have said, you know, oh, I want to do this, right? And then the next thing you know, do 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 do, and now boom, it's like it goes from the mind, and then it becomes, you know, more dense and more, and then the next thing you know, now it is here in the physical reality, you know.
it
And so
manifests.
yeah, it manifests, right? And in crazy ways, you know. I mean, I could tell you stories, but you know, I don't want to bore people. But you know, like for instance, I was thinking about, so in hermetics, right, in occultism and esotericism, we have what we call a chain of correspondences, right? So for any star, there is a particular metal, there is an herb, there is a symbol, right? So you have these levels to, And when you connect those levels, then you are drawing down the spiritual energy into the physical, right? The basic.
Magic.
And so there was, and so sometimes it happens like you start with the idea and then it becomes more real, or sometimes you just say, like for instance, Saturn I think was going into Capricorn, and so I say I want to work with Saturn herbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear about this one herb, it's called horsetail.
Horsetail is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, equisetum, I can't remember the other
I
part.
don't
Equisetum.
remember the like the technical
Yeah.
name, but it's
So
pretty common here.
I have, yeah, and but it's like anything else. When you before you see it, you don't know, but then after you see it everywhere, right?
That's true.
So I had not seen this one, but I know, so I say, okay, I just say, I want to work with horsetail, right? So then winter comes and there's a cold snow, and the power goes out. And so my wife and I, we go to the hotel so we can stay warm. And at this point, like already, well, first of all, we are very stubborn, so we wait 3 days. Maybe the heat will come back on, but no. So by this time, I'm tired. I'm cold. I'm trying to get in the room, and there's a plant hanging in the way, and I'm almost like, yeah, get out of the way, right? But then I stop and I say, wait. I think this plant, maybe it looks like that one that I was thinking about.
Mm. Oh wow.
And then so I said, okay, so in the morning when I go for breakfast, I ask the man, hey, is that the one? Yeah, he says, he doesn't say anything. He goes like this, he goes like this, and he goes into the back room and he comes and he has already the dried herb. He says, here, you can have some.
That and horsetail it is. Yeah.
Yes. So it's like only with planting the thought,
Yeah.
boom, it's right to my lap.
They are the type that's
That is magic.
yeah, that is magic. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's, and you can now, if only it were that simple every single time.
Well, yeah. But we have to be like aware, having our attention, like, and that's why
Yes,
working with the cycles is so powerful because it channels our attention specifically to this manifestation process.
right.
That's beautiful.
And it's the same thing with Mercury retrograde, right? So
Yeah.
just like for me, I'm going through hard time, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm cold. I could say, Get out of my way," right? But to an opportunity, to a miracle, really. And
Yeah.
if I am only concentrating on the negative, and I say, "Oh, you know, thanks a lot, Mercury retrograde. You have messed up this or that," right? Then I am canceling out the opportunities that.
Missing the opportunity, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if I stop that for a moment, of course we all do that. But if I'm able to stop and go, wait a minute, and just be and notice, then there is also an opportunity within. So this is the albedo. This is the light
Mhm.
that comes in, and then of course I take that herb and I make a tincture and I make the rubido. I bring it into life. I bring that new awareness. Now it is part of my life.
No,
You
that's
know.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah,
Gary, thank you so much for your time and for your
yes, ma'am.
sharing and for being
Thank you
so
for having me.
inspiring.
You're
And
welcome.
I would love to like do another conversation with you about the Venus and Mars cycle because I get very
Oh,
excited
yeah.
like to see for the near future actually the changing of this pattern in between the conjunctions, and it's synchronic with the star points of Venus changing to Pisces and Libra. Venus goes
Ah,
I think it's like very hope. I mean, it brings hope, for this world we're seeing,
yes.
and this this madness to come into senses somehow. And I would
Yeah,
love to talk and discuss all of this with you and have you.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
You guys that were watching in English, thanks for being here. And
Thank
we
you,
will,
everybody.
yeah, and we will subtitle this for everybody else that can watch later
Beautiful.
with subtitles.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Bless
Thanks.
you.
Bye, guys.